Emperor Vax Thul, the destroyer, had conquered 47 star systems in the span of 3 galactic cycles. His Crimson Empire stretched across half the Orion Arm, built on the bones of civilizations that had dared to resist his expansion. From his throne aboard the dreadnought Eternal Dominion, he had issued ultimatums to hundreds of species, watched their capitals burn, and added their worlds to his ever-growing domain. But he had never received a response quite like this one. The human delegation had arrived at his flagship under a flag of truce, just as protocol demanded. A single ship, barely larger than one of his fighter craft, carrying representatives of the Terran Federation, a minor power with 12 colonies scattered across 3 systems. Insignificant insects who had somehow convinced themselves they could negotiate with a god. Dr. Sarah Chen stepped onto the bridge of the Eternal Dominion with the calm composure of someone attending a routine diplomatic meeting. Behind her walked 2 guards and a single aide carrying what appeared to be a standard datapad. The Emperor's massive form, 3 meters of armored scales and cybernetic enhancements, loomed over them from his command throne. "So," Vax Thul rumbled, his voice enhanced by vocal modulators that made the very air vibrate, "the humans have finally come to discuss terms of surrender." Dr. Chen, who had served as the Federation's chief diplomatic officer for 20 years, looked up at the Emperor with eyes that showed no fear. "Actually, Your Imperial Majesty, we've come to deliver a message." The bridge fell silent. Even the Emperor's war priests stopped their constant chanting to listen. A message? Vax Thul's mandibles clicked in what passed for amusement among his species. "Do tell me, little human, what message could your pathetic Federation possibly have for the ruler of half the galaxy?" Dr. Chen gestured to her aide, who stepped forward with the datapad. "Your ultimatum demanded our unconditional surrender within 72 hours. Our government has considered your request and asked me to deliver our official response." The aide handed her the pad. Dr. Chen looked down at it, then back up at the Emperor. "Our response," she said clearly, "is go to hell." The silence that followed was profound enough to hear the hum of the ship's reactor cores. Then Vax Thul began to laugh, a sound like grinding metal that echoed through the vast bridge. "Go to hell," he repeated. "That's your response? Do you have any idea what you've just done, human? Started a war with a galactic empire that outguns us 1,000 to 1, Dr. Chen replied matter-of-factly. "But you should know something about humans, Your Imperial Majesty. We're not very good at surrendering." "Then you will learn," Vax Thul declared, rising from his throne. "I will make an example of your species that will echo across the galaxy for 10,000 years. Your worlds will burn, your children will serve as slaves, and your name will become synonymous with the folly of defying the Crimson Empire." Dr. Chen nodded politely. "That's certainly possible. But before you begin, there's something else you should know." She tapped the datapad, and a holographic display materialized above it, a star chart showing the Crimson Empire's territory. "You see, while my government was considering your ultimatum, our scientists were conducting a little research project. It turns out your empire has a fascinating infrastructure quantum communication networks linking every major system, automated supply chains coordinating resource distribution, centralized command protocols governing your fleet movements." The Emperor's expression began to change as understanding dawned. "All of it," Dr. Chen continued, "running on quantum-entangled systems that you conquered from the Altarian Collective 12 cycles ago. Very advanced technology. Very hackable." She tapped the pad again. Across the holographic display, red warning indicators began appearing at system after system throughout the Empire. "You see, humans might be primitive by your standards, but we have one particular talent that seems to have escaped your notice. We're extraordinarily good at breaking things that other people build." The Emperor's chief technician, a cybernetically enhanced Vorthan, looked up from his console with alarm. My lord, we're detecting massive system failures across the Empire. Communication networks are down in 17 sectors. Supply coordination has collapsed in the Outer Rim territories. Impossible, Vaxthul snarled. Our systems are impenetrable. To direct assault perhaps, Dr. Chen agreed. But you built your empire by conquering other civilizations and absorbing their technology. Every system you've integrated has created new vulnerabilities. And humans, your Imperial Majesty, are very good at finding vulnerabilities. More reports flooded in. Fleet coordination networks were failing throughout the Empire. Automated defense platforms were turning on each other. Resource distribution systems were routing critical supplies to empty space. The beautiful thing about cascading failures, Dr. Chen observed, is that they tend to accelerate. Each system that fails puts more strain on the remaining systems until the lights on the bridge flickered as the Eternal Dominion's own systems began to show signs of instability. What have you done? Vaxthul roared, his massive hands gripping the sides of his throne. We gave you exactly what you asked for, Dr. Chen replied calmly. A war. You wanted to see what humans do when cornered, Your Imperial Majesty? We don't surrender. We don't negotiate. We find the biggest, most complex thing our enemy depends on, and we break it. Admiral Krexvol, the Emperor's military commander, looked up from his tactical display with growing horror. My lord, we're receiving reports from across the Empire. Systems are going dark. Entire sectors are losing contact. Some fleets are reporting that their own ships are refusing orders. You can still stop this, Dr. Chen said, though her tone suggested she didn't expect him to. Withdraw from all human systems, agree to a non-aggression pact, and we'll provide the quantum restoration codes that will repair your networks. Vaxthul's scaled face contorted with rage. Never. I will crush your pathetic species with my bare hands if necessary. Dr. Chen sighed. I thought you might say that. She tapped the datapad one final time. The holographic display now showed critical system failures in over 60% of the Empire. Entire fleets were dead in space. Colony worlds were losing life support. The 1,000-year-old Crimson Empire was literally falling apart. The thing about humans, Dr. Chen said as she and her delegation turned to leave, is that we don't just break your toys. We learn how to break them better next time. As they walked toward their ship, the Emperor's roar of fury echoed behind them. But it was drowned out by the sound of emergency klaxons as the Eternal Dominion itself began to experience cascade failures. 3 days later, the Crimson Empire formally requested a ceasefire. 6 months later, it had collapsed entirely, its constituent species declaring independence and forming their own governments. Dr. Chen never got to see the final outcome. She died peacefully in her sleep 40 years later, but not before witnessing humanity's expansion into the power vacuum left by the Empire's fall. Her final words, according to her aide, who had been with her that day, were simple. Never start a fight with someone who's better at breaking things than you are at building them. The galaxy learned to listen.